Meeting to order. Secretary Gumby, will you please do roll call?
Senator Armbruster. Senator Armbruster. Senator Buppett. Senator Barrand. Senator Benitez. President Brock.
President Brock, present.
Senator Crawford. Director.
Point of information, when you stand up, please say Senator so-and-so present.
Director Delaney.
Director of Academic Affairs, present.
Senator Dennis. Senator Duclair. Senator Dykes. Senator Edmonds. Senator Ellis. Senator Lee Gagne.
Senator Lee Gagne, present.
Director Heath.
Director of External Affairs, present.
Senate Lead Holden.
Marietta Kemp, Senate League, present.
Director Honeycutt.
Director of Procedural Operations, present.
Treasurer Jackson.
Treasurer Jackson, present.
Senator Jackson. Senator Keller. Senator Ligman.
Senator for the Honors College, present.
Senator McGinnis.
Senator McGinnis, Senator for Non-Traditional Students, present.
Senator Marquez. Vice President Mobilaji.
Vice President Mobilaji, present.
Senator Mofasali.
Senator for the Wellstar College of Health and Human Services, present.
Senator Mogus.
Senator for the College of Business, present.
Senator Rahman.
Senator for the College of Science and Mathematics, present.
Director Rubio.
Director of Internal Affairs, present.
Senator Singleton.
Senator for Athletic Students, present.
Senator Steltzer.
Senator for the College of the Arts, present.
Senator Stephenback.
Senator for Wellstar College of Health and Human Services, present.
Senator Sukumar.
Senator for the College of Science and Mathematics, present.
Senator Tor.
Senator for First-Year Students, present.
Director Vadlamudi. Senator Weiss.
Senator for the University College, present.
Senator Whitehead. Senator Dennis.
Senator Dennis of College of Humanities and Social Sciences, present.
Is there a motion on the floor to approve the 40th meeting minutes that were sent out in an email last night? Someone's got to make a motion. Senator Gagne. 40th. 40th. Is there a second? Seconded by Director Honeycutt. Is there any discussion on that motion? All in favor, please raise your hand. All opposed? Any abstentions? That motion does pass. Now we go into director reports. This is a time for our officers to report on what they've been doing the past 2 weeks. We'll start to my right with Director Rubio.
Hey guys, so quick update. So with Cool Down with Cab, the event happening the 27th of this month from 12 to 5, we are catering. I know that we touched on it 2 weeks ago, but that is official. What was that? Oh, is that on? Seems on. Is it good? I mean, can y'all hear me? Okay, it's good. So, yeah, I'm gonna speak up. So, besides that, I am having one more event. It's gonna be on April 27th from 12 to 3 p.m. It's gonna be KSU Mental Health Awareness Day. I'm partnering up with several organizations. I'm still in the process of partnering up with more, but I've already met with KPA, Student Advocacy Office here at KSU, as well as others. I just actually had a meeting yesterday with Casey White, Bob Maddox, and Paul Allman to just talk to them about it and kind of get them on board, and they're all pushing for it, gonna get a lot of push for it, so I'd love to see you guys there as well. Besides that, I am meeting with Dr. Harmon, not this Monday, but the following Monday, so if you guys have any questions about it, let me know. I'm gonna invite him to the Mental Health Awareness Day, but besides that, I did want to make sure you guys know, and like just be aware to announce your tabling events on the group me, not the PSA one, but well, actually the PSA one would be fun, I think. But just to announce it, just because like I do want to get out there and support you guys in tabling events and just in general. But I thought I was missing out on when you guys were announcing it, but I just don't think y'all are announcing it. So just if you could do that. But besides that, thank you. And if you have any questions about either of the events, Go Down the Cab or KSU Mental Health Awareness Day, just hit me up after the meeting. Thank you. For the Mental Health Awareness Day is going to be on April 27th. It's going to be on the green. It's the only day in April that the green is available, but we got the whole green. So we are going to get a lot of people out there. Right now, like I'm saying, it's a few days of planning, but we've already got several organizations kind of wanting to join us. So 12 to 3 p.m., April 27th. It's a Friday before finals, and I'm already trying to look out to mostly mutts and get a couple of outside resources. I know that the service animals sometimes are there the week before, so we're actually trying to get them with us on the green, so long as we got good weather.
Just a couple of updates on some legislation that I mentioned in the past meeting. House Bill 928, which is to do with the Hope Scholarship amendments, is still in the House subcommittee. There hasn't really been much movement on that. The Senate Bill 405 to do with the free speech, that actually passed the Senate and is now on its way back to the House. In regard to KSU PD, I emailed Police Chief Stevens to do another coffee and donut event, which was really popular with Director Ward. And yeah, that's all from me. End of report.
Hey guys, just a quick update. Our pre-health advisor committee, we're still working on doing that. We are emailing out to clubs. I created a survey asking students what they actually wanted so we can bring this to a resolution that we're probably most likely going to write. So if you guys have any input or any suggestions, just feel free to reach out to one of us. And Chris Hutt is coming to our next meeting. So if you guys have any questions or there's anything with advising in your college, just come prepared to ask him some questions. He's really awesome and he's really open to discuss anything. And so yeah, end of report.
So governance met again to discuss a couple of things. One thing that we'll touch on more later is we drafted the beginning of a Stipends Resolution, which we'll discuss during new business, that myself and Treasurer Jackson especially had a lot to work on to help try and start the process to get a process for senators to have stipends once again and hopefully achieve that goal. Another thing I wanted to point after, not really a big issue, this stuff happens every now and then, where sometimes I'll send out a demerit and because of a mistake or a miscommunication, it'll need to be appealed, it'll need to be replaced, which is fine. I have no problem with doing that. So for future reference, if you want to streamline the process, if you have an appeal, so let's say the example today was I gave someone a demerit for not having an officer report, even though they had emailed it instead of using OwlLife. So next time something like that happens, when you appeal it, just CC your Senate lead or the director if it's an event, so that we can just get it sorted out in one go and have everything quickly. Perfectly fine. If y'all didn't make a mistake, I'm not going to punish you for it. It just makes it a little bit easier for me to handle that appeal and get it done quickly so we can move on. And the stipend resolution will be the big thing. We'll talk about that more in a new business, but that's the main thing. I sent out demerits. I sent out a few strikes as well. So if you have any questions, email me or reach out to me right after this meeting's over. Thanks.
Senate Lead Holden. Hey guys, hope everybody's doing okay. So today I sent out a doodle for the one-on-ones for us. If you read through that, there's just a little bit of stuff. So on Wednesdays, I believe I posted for those dates to be meetings on this campus. And Thursday, they will be meetings on the Marietta campus for the senators who are on those respective campuses, or whichever one's easier for you to attend. So please go fill out that doodle. Like Gabe was saying earlier, we really need to know when your tabling events are, because the e-board would love to come out and support you guys. So why don't we just go ahead and make it where you guys need to put events in our business group me. So you guys can go in and add your own events and post them that way, so we know when you're tabling, even if you're just tabling by yourself inside whatever department you're supporting or whatnot. So yeah, end of report.
Senali Gagne. Hey guys, thank you all for attending the one-on-ones last week. Again, those rounds will be near the end of this month, so shout out to you guys. If we did not meet, then we scheduled either a different time or a different alternative or something like that, so kudos to Kennesaw Campus peeps. So one thing that I did at the beginning of the meeting was I gave you guys a yellow sticky note. Okay, everybody got one? If you didn't? No? Okay, I'll come around and bring you one. What I want you guys to do, just real quick, by the end of the meeting, is to write down something that's holding you back from giving your full potential to SGA, whether it be a person or an obstacle or an incentive, like anything that you feel is keeping you from actually having passion for this job, I want you to put on this sticky note. And this is simply for the purpose of me going over it and to accommodate for what you guys feel is holding you back the most. So go ahead and do that by the end of the meeting and then bring those up to me by the end of that. I also have a list of people that I need to meet with after the meeting in regards to some projects that I would like to discuss with you on. I need to meet with Vanessa, Jaron, Emma, Sam, Macy, Jesse, Jonathan, Matthew, and Tiandra. And that's just for projects, like no one's in trouble. And then also, after the meeting, I would like to meet with all Marietta senators in the in the SGA office. And it won't take more than 10 minutes, but I'd like to meet with all of you. Thank you. End of report.
Treasurer Jackson.
Hello, everyone. So lately, I've been working on the SABAC budget for next year's SGA. If you guys want to take a look at it, you can feel free to take a look at it since I won't be here next year. With our budget, we may have a little bit left over. I'm looking to make sure, but we might have some for people who need events and meet with Christina, and Christina will let me know. And that's about it. Oh, actually, there's 2 upcoming SABAC meetings, April 11th and April 25th, if you have any other organizations. End of report.
Hey guys, so just make sure that you're keeping the offices clean and pushing in your chairs after you're done with them. Make sure you guys are getting in your events. There's a required event for April too, right? Okay, so April, make sure you're getting those tabling events in as well. I know I've gotten several tabling events in for March, for the end of March, but it's never too late to get started on April. So thank you for that. End of report.
Vice President Mobilaji.
Hey everybody, so I met with Dr. White this afternoon. We talked about a wide variety of things. If you have questions about what we discussed, you guys can come talk to me after the meeting. I can give you updates on that. Also, Dr. Bridgeforth was supposed to be here at this meeting, but due to some scheduling conflicts, he's not able to make it. So he's going to come out to one of our next meeting, either the next one or the one after spring break. So he'll be able to give us updates on things, housing and res life and whatnot. Yeah, I think that's all I've got for you guys today. If you guys have any other questions, see me after the meeting. End of report.
President Brock, just wanted to commend you guys for lots of resolutions this year. It's more than I've seen in the past years. So, like, really awesome. Good job. If you have a resolution, try to swing it by, like, myself or Ron or Matthew before you present it, just because it's better to, like, get a bunch of eyes on it, just because you might see some, like I might see some minor errors that you didn't think of. Dr. Harmon is coming to our meeting on April 11th, so that meeting will be strictly business professional. Ladies, I'm going to have extra jackets. If you're not wearing a jacket, I will put one on you. And just different things like that, just because it's our interim president, so we need to be very professional. So y'all know, like, well over a month, or almost a month in advance. That's really all I have. A lot of my meetings got pushed back due to some things in my personal schedule, so I will keep y'all updated next meeting when I have those meetings. The presidential search committee is still going strong. They were pushing the dates back towards like the end of May, but then Iggy and I were like, we're graduating, so can y'all kind of push those up? So it'll be pushed up. I think we're meeting the candidates, is it like April 14th and 15th or something? The 8 finalized candidates. So we'll definitely let like the next president and vice president know what's going on with that, because we'll be graduated. I tried to push for the new president and vice president to be on the search committee after us, but they were kind of like, nah. So that's all right. That's it. End of report. All right, now we're going to go into open forum. This is a time for any guest or SGA officers to talk to SGA about any cool projects that they're doing, anything that's going on, any issues on campus that they would like to bring about, or if they would like some feedback for ideas. We will start with our SGA officers, if anyone has anything for open forum. We'll start to my right with Sam.
I met with Paula Allman. She's the head of SDS services for Kennesaw Campus, and she let me know that apparently Kennesaw, and not apparently, I mean, it's typical, Kennesaw is doing the bare minimum when it comes to having handicap parking. So that's something that we all need to help push for, which you can actually put in a concern. I think it's concern@kennesaw.edu, but I think if you type in concerns on Google and you put in Kennesaw, you should be able to find that. So if everyone could actually input a complaint about the fact that there's not enough handicap parking, that would be great. I'll also send something out in the group me about it. Gabe attended a meeting for me with Casey White, Bob Maddox, and Paula Almond, and so that was a follow-up on the resolution on psychological services that we passed last semester. And before I was complaining that they weren't really doing anything about it, especially in the transition with the presidents. So what they've said is that they're actually making it a priority, which is great to hear, and they're looking for a new office and everything, and they're gonna actually try to push more budgeting and everything towards there. And I'm gonna continue trying to follow up with that because I'm gonna meet with our interim president, and I'm gonna actually give him another copy about it. And the Student Advisory Committee for Psychological Services is open application right now, so if you go on Owl Life, you guys can apply if you want to. That would be great. If you don't want to, that's not okay. Anyway, and also if you guys could just push for people to actually join that committee because it was SGA, I mean, we were the ones who really pushed for it to exist anyway. Thanks.
Hello. So recently I had a meeting with Mr. Lunk, or Ron, and we talked about some SABAC things, and right now I'm writing a resolution for some recommendations for SABAC. And also, recently our lovely Dean, Dr. Poulter. So I kind of knew that she might be leaving for the University of Central Arkansas to be the Provost Vice President, if that's the phrasing. And we're like sad to see her gone, and I'll work on seeing who the new dean might be. But I'm not sure what the process is because she took the position today, or we were notified of it today.
Senator Singleton, Senator for Athletic Students. There is going to be the first spring game this March 23rd, which is going to be next Friday. And I met with Milton, who is the athletic director, and he really wants to, of course, engage the students. So if you are part of an organization and your organization is big on, sports and things like that, hit me up and we can set up a meeting. I know CAB is collaborating, doing an event with the athletic department. So if you're interested in your organization doing something with the athletic department and really getting the student body, that's our next, step to really getting students to the game. So, yeah.
Is there tailgating?
No, but that is something that we can do. Yeah. I mean, I know what he really spoke on was doing something with the halftime. He spoke with doing stuff with Greeks, like IFC, the councils. But I'm actually not sure if there's like a legit tailgate. But I can find that out and let y'all know as soon as possible.
Because I'm sure students would be interested, if there was a tailgate.
Yeah, I'll let y'all know.
Because SGA could tailgate too. Any other SGA officers for open forum? All right, any guests? Yeah. Was that a Do y'all have something for open forum? Do y'all have something for open forum? Oh, okay, cool. Will y'all hand them a mic? I wasn't sure if you were like leaving or what was going on. You cool. Thank you, Broderick. Yeah.
Testing 1, 2. How's it going, man? Hi, Victoria. You guys want to get assembled or ready for this? No, we're not about to dance or anything. But good evening, everyone. My name is Adam Rose.
I'm Katrina Townsend.
My name is Christopher Danson. And we are the founders of Click A Shift. Click A Shift, right? If you've heard it, great. If you haven't, I'm here to tell you about it. We allow local businesses within a certain radius of Kennesaw State University, as well as other colleges across the United States, to utilize student labor in an on-demand fashion, right? I'm glad you're writing down. So basically you can put the Uber of student employment. The economy is going towards the gig, finding short jobs, quick skills, quick experiences. You have TaskRabbit, right? Walk into someone's home at random, clean their floors, sweep up the garage. But once you complete that job and earn your cash, what do you ask yourself? Can I take those skills and experiences and actually put them towards my career path? Can you pave an actual career from that? No, you cannot. With Click A Shift, you can, by attending and actually working at credible businesses to then utilize for your career path. And the best part about it, we're using students, and that's why we're here at SGA right now.
So with Click A Shift, what we're trying to do is shift the paradigm shift. So if you don't know what a paradigm shift is, it's, you see a triangle, but then you see different directions of that triangle within that shift. Google it if you don't know what I'm talking about. But what we're trying to do is shift the way that we work. We're trying to shift the way that we go to school, the way that we balance things, the way that we handle all the responsibilities that we have to do as students. As a student, we need money, right? Do you need money? I need money. And with Click A Shift, you're able to get that money you need while doing SGA, while doing any other organization that you want to do. You can even work another job if you want to.
And I'll finish it off. But pretty much this whole thing is really about purpose, right? We have our tagline, it's find a job, find a worker, and find yourself. What we want to be able to do is provide students the opportunity to learn and see what they love to do, what they see they love to be a part of, whether it be SGA or any other organization, and not be restricted by any job that tells you, hey, you have to be in at a certain time and you can't study for your finals. And not only that, we want to be able to connect the students to the businesses. And in that connecting the students to the businesses, they'll be able to have a job prospect for after they go out of college. The job's already seen them, seen what they can do. We can get those recommendation letters out of the way because you've already worked at 100 different businesses, and we have a feedback system of 5 stars that says, hey, I worked for 100 different businesses. They know what I do. They've seen what I've done. And more importantly, you'll be able to build your resume as you're able to be a part of your organizations and do what you want to do as far as your GPA is concerned and be able to make a little bit extra cash to pay your rent. So all we want to do is come and kind of tell you guys about this. You guys are the SGA. You guys are looking to be able to make the student body better. We think that this is a great opportunity to do so. So we want to kind of offer you guys this. Maybe you guys can give us some feedback of who we should go speak to next. But we have over a couple 150 students that are already showing that they're interested in it. This is without any marketing at all. We've already showed that there are over 50 businesses that are interested in it. We have the app and everything already made. All the students are going to be employees. So we're just looking at you guys to see if we can make this hopefully a great partnership and move forward. Yes, please.
So you've kind of explained what you do. Yeah. Can you explain how it works and what kind of businesses you're targeting?
Yeah, no problem. So kind of how it works is pretty much, is this even working? Okay. Yeah. So kind of how it works is pretty much a business will say, hey, I need somebody to come help, and they'll put the job out on our app, and then the student will go and see it. And if they say, hey, I have this free time from this time to this time, or I can make my schedule a little bit more free from this time to this time, they go in, do the job. And then the student gets paid after that. Like I said, all the students will be employees, so anything that if they get hurt on the job or if there's an incident where they break something, they're not at liability. All that's taken care of. So kind of the jobs that we're looking to be, that we're interested. As far as right now, it's more of like entry-level jobs. So for example, they'll be able to go in and do some marketing for a different business. They're going to be able to go in and perhaps maybe help move some boxes around at a different store. They'll be able to go in and perhaps maybe do some data entry. But pretty much all this is enabling them to do, and we talked to many different businesses in the area. They've been able to say, hey, you know, we want to be able to bring these students in, kind of get a feel for them, and then we would love for them to be able to come on later on in their career when they get out of college and stuff like that. We're also looking to be doing internships. I know you guys heard of Handshake. And Handshake, the problem with them is they're not kind of localized. They're not about this community that we're trying to build up. We're trying to network the students with the businesses in the area because, like I said, the students are going to be the future. And you're not going to be the future unless you kind of know what the future looks like or when they were the future, how they were able to kind of get to the position that they were at. So it's not about right now. It's not about getting that temporary money right now, even though that is important for all the students. It's about building the community and building the student up to where they're going to be able to go in and be a better viable job prospects. And they're also able to be able to go in and get their resumes built up as well. So.
Director Honeycutt, love the idea. It's a really cool
Thank you.
solution to the 21st century economy.
Yes.
But for those who, especially let's say they use this program and that's their first real work experience, I like the idea of the rating system, but how realistically well do you think it will translate in place of, say, the traditional letters of recommendations you would get when moving from one business to another, especially if you're moving from this click a shift to a more traditional career type job?
Yeah, so I think what it does is kind of a twofold thing. So kind of what we're trying to explain to the student is that you're not stuck in the position that you're in. What people tell you that you are, you're not just a data entry person. You're not just someone that works at McDonald's, right? You're more than that. You're something that you can have diverse skills. You can be able to put in any position and be able to excel at it. So that's kind of the first fold of it. It's not about necessarily being that one particular area. And one day, perhaps maybe you can start your own business on your own. But two, for as far as the recommendation system is concerned, we think it's going to be extremely strong because the thing is, most of the time when they look at when a business calls your other recommendations and they say, hey, how did this person do, right? That's pretty much what the recommendations or the feedback system is. They give a report of saying, hey, this is what the person did. He showed a great work ethic. And then not only that, hey, we think that he did 5 stars. He did the job perfectly. And he's a very competent person. So as far as that's concerned, I think that it's right in line with it.
And along with that, the whole, sorry.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I wasn't, Senator for Wellstar College of Health and Human Services. So I actually work for our career planning and development office, and we have worked very hard to establish relationships with other businesses and things similar to what y'all are doing. And I just want to make sure that y'all, if you do come into our university, that you're not going to be stepping on anyone's toes, and we're not going to step on your toes sort of deal. So you mentioned internships, for example. So all students have to go through our office to get an internship. So I would recommend talking with our office first. And I know that's kind of like what y'all are doing, but we are trying to do this OWL Shadow program, which sounds similar to what you guys are doing, where it's basically a week where the student shadows an employer, seeing what they're doing, things like that. And it'd be great to use your app. Maybe we could use your app in our office. And that way we're not stepping on any toes, no one's walking over anyone else, and students aren't confused on where they're getting their information from.
Okay, so to follow up on that, we can actually license you our app platform, and you can actually use it as a scheduling or any type of internships, however you want to use the app, so you can match those students to those internships in an easier manner instead of, just emails or phone calls or any other slower way. This is all automated, so it's basically an easier way to match the students to the internships with their profile to the appropriate internship. And just following up to the feedback system, all of our feedback systems are automated. So when the employer gives a feedback to the student that works, you have that 5-star system, and that is reported into an actual tangible report. So you can actually access that report when you so choose to, move up in the world, and you have those recommendations, black and white.
another comment. I would just suggest speaking to Lori Trahan. She's over all of our office department, like technology, things like that. And I think she would really be interested in your app, especially with our new OWL Job Shadow program. And I can give you her contact information, and you all can feel free to reach out to her.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So for some feedback, I think it's a great idea. I know I'm in nursing, and a lot of hospitals do this, where it's just like you pick up a shift whenever, and I know that it really works well with nursing students, and so I can see that this will probably be really successful with other students as well. And then one more question is there going to be some training that they're going to have to do that would be like done before they can start shifts, or would that kind of be like the first shift they did? So I guess it's just like, will they need to have to go do extra before they can start, or is it just like immediately?
So the way that our app works is you have a student and you already create your profile, right? So you have all the skills and the work experience that you have or not, and you have that filled out in the profile so the employer can see if you have experience that matches the work that they're trying to request. Now, usually with our shifts, right now it's menial labor. You literally go to the place of business 30 minutes prior. They teach you, hey, pick up this box, place it over here, and that's your training. And you do it for the rest of the shift. It's literally easy, to the point, quick training that lasts probably 5 to 10 minutes. I know when I worked my own company, I only got trained as far as to what to do for the job for 10 minutes. I was able to do the job effectively, get paid, and leave, and be able to get back to my life and get back to what I need to do and still maintain that well-rounded schedule.
To go further on that comment, for nursing, I'm pretty sure that's more extensive training-wise.
Yeah, it's like, I mean,
Yeah.
you're like handling people's lives.
Yeah. We totally understand. We totally understand. And the best part about Click a Shift, we have dedicated pools. So let's say you could take those 10 students who have an interest in nursing. That company can literally train them to the best of their ability, but yet still be in our HR. So it's literally cutting costs off of their HR, saving money as well as time. So.
I have a question. I'm assuming that you guys have a website with the app and everything, and on that you have a page of all the frequently asked questions and everything.
Yes.
And do you guys have any flyers that you could give us so that we can hand them out to students as well as have them for us too? So that way, because I'm assuming with all the questions and everything, you guys have everything organized online because you guys seem like very organized people. Yes, okay. So that means that everyone, if you have any more questions and everything, we can all look on the website, and I think that they're going to have everything there. They're organized people over here.
That's great. Last question. Actually, outside of the app, I kind of wanted to know. So it started by you three, I assume.
Yes.
I guess I wanted to know a little bit about you guys' background, a little bit, what kind of.
Oh yeah, of course. I truly apologize for not introducing myself thoroughly. Like I said before, my name is Adam Rose. I'm a senior marketing major here, of course, in Coles College. Hoorah. And I entered the entrepreneurship journey back in 2016 when the Cage Top 100 introduced itself to us. I thought a better way. I just came in from transferring from Fort Valley State University, and I wanted to make some new friends. So I entered that, collected great feedback, made great friends, ran to this guy. He was actually my roommate, told him about it, piqued interest in him, and here we are today.
My name is Katrina Townsend. I'm a senior psychology major, statistics minor. I'm also an Army ROTC cadet scheduled to commission 2018 as well as graduate. I began my entrepreneurship journey through these two. They're roommates, and we actually met during the Clemson-Alabama game, and they were having, back and forth dialogue about, hey, how come, we can't go to work like Uber? How come we can't implement this Uber model to work? Why do we have to drive cars or whatever? That's kind of weird. But, they created this brainstorm idea, and they were like, hey, we like the way you think. And they put me on, and here we are today, making Click a Shift bringing Click a Shift to life.
Yeah, so Christopher Dancy. Now, to answer your question, pretty much everything that I do is pretty much centered around my purpose. My purpose is pretty much just being able to allow for others to kind of look outside of themselves, look outside of the institutions that are placed on you, those paradigms as such that are placed on one of you, and then being able to look outside of that and wondering, hey, how can I shift this? How can I get outside of this? How can I think differently than how others are going to tell me to think? I'm a philosophy major, so as you know, that's probably why you're thinking that I'm thinking such. But yeah, so that's pretty much my purpose. As far as Click and Shift is concerned, my biggest goal was to be able to allow for others to do the same for themselves. Instead of just being a fry cook at McDonald's, they'll be able to say, hey, I'm not just a fry cook, I'm this, I'm that, I'm a student, and more importantly, I'm me, and I want to be able to find who I am and be able to mold myself to who I want it to be. So, thank you. Please, Project, please. Okay. Fair enough. I mean, they ended.
Would I give this microphone? Oh. Okay.
What's your website?
It is www.clickandshift.org, right. Does anyone need a business card? We gave business cards up here. Okay, yeah. If y'all need more, we have a whole bunch.
And I'm pretty sure we can email you and then you can email.
So clickandshift.work, not .com, .work.
It's like click in, like I
Click A shift dot work. I have these if y'all want them after the meeting. Okay, anything else? Thank you so much. Thank you. All right, anything else from forum? Yes, sir. Will someone hand him a mic? There's two.
All right. This is a lot different than I thought it would be. It's a different perspective. So I just met with Victoria like 30 minutes ago, and I was telling her, since I've started here at Kennesaw, I started last summer. I came from Stanford before that. And there has been a lot of talk, and while I was telling her, going back for a second, in the last 5 years, Kennesaw has essentially blown up from what it was to buying a bunch of real estate and enacting all these policies and different programs and drawing in more students and building the dorm rooms. And it's becoming something where, I mean, in 5 years, it's not going to compete with a lot of those Ivy League schools, but it has a potential in like 10, 15, 20 years to actually be a competitor, and I wanted to be a part of that. So there's a lot of different things that I'm working on with a lot of other people, and I'm not going to go ahead and explain all of them right now, but one thing is there has been a lot of talk about creating a deeper sense of community within the Kennesaw campus and across and between the Kennesaw and Marietta campuses. So what I wanted to do is, or what I am going to do, is build a belt line essentially between the two campuses. I think physically connecting the two campuses would inspire a lot of that community between not only the students here, but the faculty members here and everybody here. And yes, it would be an expensive project, and there are a lot of obstacles we have to overcome, but it's actually very doable and it's relatively easy. So I was telling her, there's a guy, a good friend of mine, Gene Rice. He's the best land developer, real estate broker you'll ever meet. So he's been helping me with this, and there's these guys, mentors, advisors, teachers, whatever you want to call them, like Jim Eckstein and Brian Cork are these two guys that are helping me raise all this money in order to do this. And by physically connecting the two campuses, not only I want to create like a big paved road, and one thing that it will do is, yes, you can go bike back and forth and do the whole fitness thing, but nobody's going to bike. It's like an 8.5 mile stretch between the two campuses. Nobody's going to bike just to get to campus. But we can do a thing where we can put the OWL buses, Bob buses, whatever they're called, on those, between those things, and it would save a lot of money on gas. It would decrease the amount of time it takes to get between the two campuses because we wouldn't be running into traffic. We wouldn't have to stop at stoplights or stop signs because it would just be going in that straight path, and it would only be for Kennesaw students. And the other thing that would help the funding is, I don't know if we can give it just to Kennesaw or give it to the state, but I know that building this, we can get a national trail designation, so we can get the state to pay for the majority of what we're doing, the government to pay for the other half, and raising, I mean, even if we don't, raising the couple $1 million is not that hard. And it's just doing things like that. That's one aspect of creating a deeper sense of community within the KSU campus, because all these organizations, and it goes back, I started a program called Heartfelt when I was 18, and what it is community development, but not just within one specific college campus, just really everywhere. So I started at Georgia Tech, and then Stanford is where I did most of it. So for instance, like all the student organizations here, how many of them actually collaborate with each other in ways? There's not a lot. There's a lot of kids that go here that are smart, are talented, are good at what they do, but there's also a lot of kids that go here that weren't raised in great backgrounds and didn't receive great educations. And I mean, you notice that in class where they can't really argue a point, or they don't know the answer to the question, or they don't know how to learn or process things in that way. And one way we can do that, I'm going off on a little tangent here, is like Finland has one of the most efficient education systems in the world. And the reason for that is there is no dropout rate in Finland. It's 0%. Because when someone is struggling in Finland, what they do is they get someone to come help them. The state pays for a tutor or someone to come in. And you can't really compare Finland to the United States, because in Finland there's only like 5 million people, but you can't compare it to a state within the United States. And even less than that, you could compare it to a school. If we can do that just in Kennesaw, if we can say, hey, this guy needs help with this, oh, these guys over here do it, we just need to create that line of communication. And that's one way of creating a deeper sense of community within the Kennesaw and Marietta campuses, but then physically connecting them with each other and giving students a faster way to get from campus to campus is another way of doing that. So there are a lot of ways of creating this deeper sense of community, and that's essentially what I want to do and what I'm going to do.
Are there any questions or feedback? Senator, go for it. Here.
Broderick, Senator for Coast College of Business. So for the second portion you were talking about, not to be rude, I'm just a little confused. How does that go with the whole Beltline project? Just the distance between in general, and just is that what you were speaking about before?
What?
It sounded like it.
Well, it all falls when, so I mentioned back, I did systems engineering, and one of it, if you can think about just the community aspect as a whole system, the Beltline and the communication aspect and other aspects, think of those as elements of the system. So this is all part of one thing. Okay. It's just different things we need to do in order to create that deeper sense of community.
So this is like a project. This is a project in general. That was just
so one thing that I think would help explain is a while back I read a book called The 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership, and one thing, this guy John Maxwell wrote it, and he was giving a talk at a college campus, and one student came up to him afterward and said, listen, I have so much to do, I work all the time, I don't have time to go study all these 12 laws of leadership, so what's the single most important thing I need to know about leadership? And he thought about it for a second, and then he said, the single most important thing you need to know about leadership is that there's more than one thing you need to know about leadership. And that's kind of the same idea behind creating a community, there's more than one thing we need to do. We can't just do one thing to solve a problem, because that's not a way to solve a problem.
Tag your vid.
Just to ask a little bit more background information, Senate League Gagne, by the way, is for the Beltline, how far are you on this project in terms of like budget-wise? Do you plan to have Kennesaw State pay for this whole thing? And geographically, is this plausible with already the construction that's happening through the I-75 Marietta campus area?
It's possible, it's doable, it's gonna take a while. It's not gonna happen while any of us are here. It probably won't be completed until after we all graduated and all left, because there are a lot of zoning permits. We do have to deal with the neighborhood associations. We do have to deal with the individual counties, and we have already started. We've gotten people on board. We have land developers. We have real estate agents. We have people who want to fund. And Kennesaw State, my goal is to get Kennesaw State to not fund it, or to fund a minimum amount of it, because like I said, I could get National Trails designation, and then the U.S. government would fund a lot of it, because that would be considered a national park. And the state would fund a lot of it, and I could also get a lot of private donors to come in. Before this, what I did, I worked at a company called the Angel Advisors, which is, we raised money for stuff. So I kind of have a sense of, I think that I can do this.
Okay, cool. So for you coming and speaking to Student Government Association, what can we do as representative students in backing up in this project if it's something that you didn't want budgeted by the university, or that is not in the plans of necessarily, university-funded programs? Like, how did you want student government to help you with this project?
So
I guess is what I'm
what I
asking.
was talking to Veronica about is, Victoria, sorry. Is it would be a lot easier for this project to get done with the support of the SGA and other faculty administrative supporting this project. And that's really what I wanted to come. I wanted to come establish that relationship and kind of cultivate that relationship, because it's something that if I don't have you guys on board, I mean, it could still get done. It's just, it's going to create tension, and it's going to be a little harder.
Heard.
Hi, I'm Senator for Students with Disabilities. So here's a fun fact for everyone. There's a bike trail that exists that connects the two campuses. It's just a really long one, and it's not direct. And actually, I remember when I was at the 10-year planning committee, do you guys remember, what's the name of it? They talked about they want to fix up that trail to actually make it so that the connection between the campuses is better. So what you're talking about, they've actually started looking into that. I don't think they're looking at it at quite the scale that you're talking about, but what you're talking about is plausible, and they are talking about actually creating and fixing up that connection a little bit.
Yeah, she told me about that, and I said I would just bring them. I would find out. I don't know who's working on that, but I'll find out who, and I'll bring them in.
All right, thank you. All right, now we are going to go into new business. This is a time for any resolutions or business in student government for us to discuss this. First, we have the Stipends Resolution. Yay!
Mind if I just? Yeah. Sweet. Jump the table. Oh, hey, buddy. How you doing? All right. Okay, so unfortunately, there are 2 dates that are wrong on this, but the important thing is the content. I really want feedback on this, because this is something, if you're ever going to really criticize and look at a resolution, this is the way to do it, because if we want SABAC to take this seriously, we need to have everything and everyone on the same page. So the resolution as it, thanks Emily, you're the best. The resolution as it reads, whereas the Student Government Association officers are the voices of the students, whereas a lack of funding for the Student Government Association has led to senators working without pay, Whereas senators work hundreds of hours and have produced several resolutions, yet are unpaid for their efforts. Whereas students make the decision to serve the student body when they could be earning needed income. Whereas since the removal of stipends for senators, 15 senators have resigned from their post. Resolved that KSU should allow for proper compensation for the work of the student government organization. Resolved that KSU should grant an increase in funding to the Student Government Association for the purpose of stipends. Resolved that the current lack of compensation makes it difficult for low-income students to serve. Resolved that all elected and appointed officers of Student Government Association should receive compensation for their work. So that's the framework we're at right now. We also recently, today, went ahead and added do you have the most recent version with the, yes. We did have a more recent version briefly that does actually have dollar amounts, but that's basically where we're at right now. I want to hear the feedback and criticism, if necessary, of this resolution. But this is the framework because we really do think it's important to have stipends back. It probably won't be as high as it used to be, but it's definitely an improvement, and we want to make it worth everyone's while who comes here and takes the time out of their day to represent the students because we know how hard y'all work. Okay, yeah. Yeah. Yes. Okay.
I really hate business, but that's just the way you have to think nowadays.
Yeah.
And you know that, of course. But Senator for the Michael J. Coles College of Business. My thing with it, I think it's great, of course, but all of us are going to have to work together to make sure we provide accurate information. Because if we're going to present this to officials, they have to make sure that they're comfortable and like they're on board with it, including dollar amounts and specificness or specificity. That's the word, right? But besides that, I love it. I think it's cool. I feel like it will encourage a lot more senators to put more work out, especially quality of work as well. Because I know just for me, when I first started SGA, I was getting a stipend for it. And that was easier for workload because I don't have to work a job as much because I was getting compensated for the time I was investing with SGA. And I'm not saying it's not worth it now, but you have to think about your finances and how that really goes with your life. And personally, if I'm not financially stable, in my opinion, I probably won't have as great as the quality of work with SGA because I'll be focusing on money all the time. So I love it.
Well, I completely agree. That was one of the main motivations for me, especially working on this resolution. I've mentioned it several times. If we have a Senate where the senators are unpaid, the only people who are going to do those positions are the one who can afford to do it. And when college affordability is one of the biggest problems in the country, I don't necessarily believe that is such a great idea. But you're absolutely right. I do want to hear the feedback on specific numbers because this needs to be something we get right the first time around so that we're taken seriously. So I appreciate any and all criticism. Okay.
Anything else for feedback? Y'all have my
Director of External Affairs. Did you have a specific dollar amount, did you say? Okay. I can't see it from here.
Thanks, Bradley. The difference on this one, without reading it word for word, is after getting feedback from Victoria and Ron, we have a specific that on average senators work about 5 hours a week, so we have that specific number to show that it's not just a general hundreds of hours, that this is actually a pretty consistent work between office hours. Those of you who meet with your deans are the equivalent officers. Let's see, it specifically mentions that it makes it difficult for low-income students to serve in SGA. And the final three are arguably the most important. It says, once more, it says SABAC should grant an increase in funding for SGA for the purpose of stipends. We also propose that SABAC increase funding for permitted stipends for all chartered organizations, which is the level of RSO the Student Government Association is at right now. And while, of course, accounting for the number of officers each organization has. So we have around about 35 officers, give or take. when the Senate is full. And then the final one specifically calls for dollar amounts, with senators obtaining $300 a semester, directors and equivalent executive members, such as secretary and treasurer, getting $500 a semester, vice president getting $750 a semester, and president will stay the same at $1,000 a semester. So those are the differences, and if any of y'all who can't read it have any questions, I can definitely repeat it. But that's the difference in the most up-to-date version right now.
And just to follow up, I think it would be good while presenting this resolution to SABAC is maybe including like these stipends are performance based. So if an officer is not doing their job correctly, they're not going to be receiving their full stipend. So just in case SABAC had any concerns about awarding this amount of money to students, then we can point out like we do have specific performance indicators that you're required to meet in order to receive the full stipend.
Yes, I think that's an excellent point. And for those of you who are guests or those of you who are newer senators, that is how the directors, president, vice president, and the executive board members do it now. In addition to how many demerits we have, how many strikes we might have, and how many office hours we've completed, whether we've gone to enough mandatory events, whether we've done enough tabling, and based off a survey from y'all, we do have, that's how our stipend is calculated. So I got 100% of my stipend because I did all the events and the Senate said that I did my job, and everyone gets a percentage based off that. So that's almost certainly how we would choose to go about it. And I really appreciate that feedback, so we can put that in so they know that A, we're not doing this because we're in it for the money, and B, that there will be a mechanism to enforce against lackluster representatives.
Any other questions?
Did you want to?
I think, yeah.
All right.
All right, so a couple of comments about it. First, I would go back and contact those 15 senators who have resigned and actually confirm that it was a monetary issue. That's kind of like you're kind of shooting in the dark. You don't know if that was it for certain. So I would go back and try to confirm that so you can get a more accurate number, because that's probably something that they'll look at. The other thing, since we're doing commentary right now, what I was going to tell you guys later was you guys should consider trying to reach out to other SGAs to see the work of their Senate. So if you can somehow in there prove that the quality of the work of the Senate has decreased since we've gotten rid of stipends, and then show comparatively to our peer institutions the quality of our Senate has historically been better when senators have received stipend. I think that'd be useful information for sake of argument.
I'm sure Matthew would love to hear from like senators that are new or have never had a stipend or have had a stipend and don't have a stipend, just to like get some feedback and justification.
So on this little Post-it note, guess what I wrote? Stipends. Was I supposed to not? No. Okay, too late now. I already said it, stipends. Yeah. So I think the big thing is that a lot of students here, they have other priorities too. And me personally, SGA is not like my first top priority. Like everyone has to do a ton of other things for school, right? And I feel like with my work and stuff, I feel like with stipends, kind of with what Broderick was talking about, if stipends were a thing, I can dedicate more time to SGA and do the things that I would want to when I have to like spend more time working in order to actually like pay for college.
So do you think you'd be working less if there was a $300 stipend?
Yes.
I was going to speak.
Yeah, let's have Gabe go first, and then, yeah.
I just had a question for the whole Senate. So really for the senators specifically, what do you guys view your hourly wage should be for being a senator, if that makes sense? Like what do you think is actually like reasonable for an hourly wage per senators? Yeah.
For senators, $775, director $875, VP $950, and president $1025 an hour.
What's that?
I do think that some of us, maybe because we were brought into the administration
Some universities do.
Director of Internal Affairs, I'm sorry. I know some universities do. Majority do not pay. Can I not hear? It is on. Majority of SGAs in the university system of Georgia do not actually pay. I mean, some exec board do. I think that is something similar, but I do think that maybe some of us who grew with it kind of became a little spoiled with it. I think that's just a good argument, and just to prepare for that. I know that you're preparing for it, but in terms of when you bring it up to administration, that's going to be the number one thing they bring up, that there's 35 officers, and to pay them each, I mean, being a senator who did get paid, I understand, but I just...
Yes, that brings back the point I was talking about earlier, where that they should go in and see what the workload is of the other senates. Because yes, our senate did get paid. However, speaking with people who have transferred and become parts of other senates, they say the work that our senate does is way far above and beyond what they require of other senates, is what I've heard from people who have transferred. And so that's why in the resolution you should go back and include that kind of verbiage in there to prove the quality and quantity of the work that our senate does in order to be able to accurately vouch for this change.
President Brock, when do you guys have to present this resolution? Because does it have to be voted on at this meeting? Because there's a SABAC meeting, in April. Just because I feel like there's a lot of research that you guys need to do in order to get the right answer. Yeah. Can someone answer that?
Can you answer that one?
Or Ron, or...
I can try. So if we could talk about the overall idea and maybe vote on that. So like, yes, we support the resolution, or whether we don't. So like, me and Honeycutt can go ahead and do research, but that will take time. And if we have SGA's approval, we can go ahead and start talking to the other schools and finalize. But if we could just vote on the resolution as it is, that would be great to do today. Oh, and SABAC budgets are due on the 25th, to answer that part of your question, and they're going to start looking at them.
We'll start with Jesus. However, Senator McGinnis.
Non-traditional students. Two things. One, as a non-traditional student, I have actually gone to another university and been part of student government at another university. We were not paid, however, the executive board was, but the requirements were much, much lower. We literally just had to attend meetings and report back to our group or organization. So the amount of work that is put in is much higher, as Iggy mentioned before. And also, coming from the perspective of an education major, being a student teacher and still trying to do SGA, being financially compensated would certainly be appreciated. I would still do my job either way, as I'm still here and passionate, but I know others who are unable to and would be willing to, because you have a hard time working during student teaching, and if you can find a job that'll work with your schedule, you're going to have to take that over SGA whether you want to or not.
Thank you.
Senator for the University College. Taking what everyone has said, especially with Gabe and Broderick, I think a middle ground would be the best after the research is done. If you decide that you're going to pay the senators in general, I think minimum wage is too high, honestly. I mean, I like money as much as other people, but this is not a minimum wage. Yeah, huh?
What the current is with like the 350, 500, 750,000?
If yeah, I mean, lump sum, I haven't calculated the amount of that, what that would equate to, but if we're going by per hour, an hourly rate, I think a range between $5 and $6.50, maybe $4.50, maybe to $6.50. I think anything higher than that, anything lower than that, it's not even worth doing.
President Ross, that's why the way we do the stipends is a lot easier, because it's based off basically like a point system. So like, you get $350, you have to do these 15 things. Office hours, blah, 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 blah. So and it's a percentage system. So I've personally seen that really helpful, because minimum wage, it just looks sad. So, yeah.
Yes, to add to what she said, when like even executive board, like you don't just get the whole 1,000 or whatever. It's based off of kind of like what you do or what you don't do. So if someone's not doing something, they won't get a significant portion of their stipend. They don't just automatically get it.
Just like officer reports, you can't really put a minimum wage on that and different things like that. Okay, other questions, comments? Director Keith? Will someone pass me the mic?
So can we vote to table this resolution until the verbiage is fixed and until the performance indicators are added to it? Or are we just voting on the idea of it?
I mean, I would like for us to vote on the idea, but like honestly, we don't technically have to vote. Like we can bring this to SABAC without SGA's input, but it would be nice to have it.
So would we do 2 votes then, one on the idea and one on the actual resolution that's presented to us?
We can do both today and see if
We
you
might
want.
as well just do both tonight, right?
President Brock, what we could do is we could say we approve the resolution pending the numbers, or you can say we vote. Oh, we can't do a pending. JK. Yeah.
Okay.
So we can do the idea of it. So we approve
Can I motion
the
that,
idea of the resolution, and then we can do an email vote on the actual formal resolution after they do the research.
Okay.
So what you said, but I got confused. So.
Director Delaney, just a quick thing. When you are doing your research, just make sure that you are specifically doing it to universities that have similar SGAs to us. Because I know when we were talking about, when I met with Chris Hutt about the pre-med, he wanted not only just schools in Georgia, but one specifically towards like us. And so make sure that when you do that, that you do it with SGAs that are like us specifically.
Also, keep in mind that this isn't just for SGA, it's for all chartered organizations that are on the same level as us. But yes, I will do that. No, it also says chartered organization. It was like one of the last lines. It's resolved, SABAC should increase the total permitted stipends for all chartered organizations while accounting for the numbers of officers each organization has. Basically like, no, it's okay. Yeah.
Senate Lead Holden. As a Senate Lead, I want you guys to do like the best job you can do. So I just want you to know, like, back when we did have stipends, for those of you who weren't here, and how it would be if senators receive stipends again, is that the workload was more than it is now. So what you guys do now, it was about double that. For our senators in previous years. So receiving a stipend will require us putting a little bit more on you guys. So yeah.
On that note, can I vote to approve the concept right now?
Is there a motion on the floor?
All right, I, Senator Armbruster for the Coles College of Business, vote to approve this concept of the stipends resolution.
Yes. Is there a second to approve the idea? Senator Dennis. Is there, seconded by Senator Dennis, is there any discussion on this motion? Senator Weiss.
Senator for University College. Okay. I just want to ensure that when we do vote for the email, it's on, right? Yeah, for the finalized version after the research has been done, that the finished resolution is also emailed out, so I don't have to have another incident where I go in front of everyone to have to read it, because I didn't get to read this version before we voted, and I would like to actually be able to read it in its current voting for it.
Director Heath? Just kidding? Okay. All right. All in favor, please raise your hand. Sorry. We don't need to count. All opposed? Any abstentions? That motion does pass. All right, now we are going to go into our second resolution, which is the right to protest resolution. No, we'll just do it. y'all need to move around to read it.
Hey everyone, so the idea behind this resolution was kind of inspired by the protests that are actually happening today with high school students walking out of class in protest of the lack of gun reform. However, I do want to emphasize that this resolution is not specific to this one protest. It will be universal, that as long as students are protesting peacefully and orderly, no matter what the issue is, if they're exercising their First Amendment rights, it would not affect their application to Kennesaw State. So once again, while this resolution does mention that specific protest, it's not limited to just that. I was just using that as an example. Would you like me to read it? Whereas an example of the right to protest would be the current political climate surrounding the gun control debate has led to a nationwide high school walkout event, March for Our Lives, in protest of the lack of gun reform. However, the resolution is not limited to this specific event. Whereas some high schools and school districts are threatening participants in this event with disciplinary action that would reflect negatively on their discipline records and high school transcript. Whereas every United States citizen has the constitutional right to advocate for their beliefs and be politically active. Whereas participation in peaceful protests is a legitimate way to exercise this right. Resolved that Kennesaw State University acknowledges the rights of students to participate in peaceful protests and advocate for their political beliefs. Resolved that should an individual be suspended or disciplined by their school or school district for exercising this constitutional right, such disciplinary actions will have no negative effect on the individual's admission application to Kennesaw State University. Resolved, the Student Government Association of Kennesaw State University strongly encourages the Office of Undergraduate Admissions to follow these guidelines and examples of other leading institutions who have announced similar policies. Is there any questions on this? We'll start with Senate Lead Holden.
Senate Lead Holden. So this is basically saying that KSU won't take into account if they participate in this when it comes to their admissions to the state university.
So they wouldn't let it negatively affect their application. So obviously, if you have a like a disciplinary record of getting suspended or something from school, usually it would reflect negatively on a college application. So if a student was to be suspended specifically for this event or an event similar to this, it wouldn't have a negative effect on their application to Kennesaw.
And when it comes to transcripts to the university, does it say why they were suspended? Like, does it go into that, or is it
I
just
believe
say they
that
were
is up
suspended
to
this many
individual
times?
school districts on whether they include that in their transcripts of why a student was disciplined. So it would depend on that individual's application. But I'm sure there's a way. I was looking into adding like for an option in the application, because I was told there currently isn't one, for students to explain why they received such a disciplinary action. So if their transcripts didn't reflect as to why, they'd have an option to explain it. Director Honeycutt?
Director Honeycutt, if you may permit me, I wanted to use a specific example to kind of help flesh out what you're saying.
Sure.
So let's say there is a student who skips out on a final knowingly to go protest, and they end up bombing the class, getting a bad grade, whatever. How will that resolution handle situations like this where students are knowingly, skipping out in class for whatever reason, even if it's a noble protest? Obviously, that's not for us to decide what's right and what's wrong. But how do you account for things like that where they choose to make these choices and it affects their grades? Is it really fair for KSU to say that's okay, or is that what you're looking at?
So this is specifically just for disciplinary records, so it's not academic transcripts that have to do with their GPA or their grades. It would just be looking into their disciplinary records. So, we can't excuse if a student fails a class, like that's on them, but it would just be reflecting on the disciplinary records that the student has.
Okay, that covers my main concern. Thank you.
Any other questions?
I'm so sorry.
Senator for the College of the Arts, when you said other recognized or similar institutions, can you name a couple?
Yeah, so I actually have a friend who attends George Washington University, and they recently released a statement saying that they encourage students to exercise their First Amendment rights, and if a student is disciplined for doing so, that it won't reflect negatively on their application to GW. I can pull that up if anybody wants to
Can
see
you
it.
like one more other than that one?
Some of the Ivy League institutions are also doing the same thing.
Okay. Point of information, it's like throughout the whole nation. There's an article on BuzzFeed that has a list of all of them, but it's literally Stanford, like Harvard, Yale, all of them have said it. So if you want, I know BuzzFeed has a really great article about it. I don't know how updated it was, but they did put that. So, I mean, Kennesaw isn't an Ivy League school, but yeah, but yeah, there is an article, bunch of universities.
I think this is really important for us to accept this, especially knowing what Cobb County has said. I think Cobb County said that students were not allowed to protest, so I think it's very important that Kennesaw makes a stand saying students are able to protest. I mean, it's our right to do it, and it's the right of the high schoolers around us, and everyone should be able to use their voice. So having Kennesaw stand up to protect our First Amendment is very important.
Thank you.
Senator Dennis, Senator for College of Humanities and Social Science. So is this more pertaining to just high school students, or would it be coming from other colleges as well?
This would be more pertaining to high school students, as the resolution in resolve specifically states Office of Undergraduate Admissions. But if that was something that we wanted to do to look into other colleges, I'd be happy to amend it to include graduate admissions too, if that was something that we wanted to do.
Yeah.
One quick question to go with that. Senator for Coles College of Business. Does that include transfer students as well for colleges, since that's undergrad?
No, like I said, it's mostly focused on undergraduate admissions for high school students who are doing it. Just because there's not really, like, if a college student doesn't go to class, like, there's not really a way to discipline them for it, whereas high school, you know.
Director Honeycutt, just for the sake of context, can you give me a little bit specific example of what Cobb County is doing? I'm not from the area, so I'm not really familiar with how things go here.
So what happened, Vice President Mobalaji, so what's been happening in Cobb County is they told the students that they were not allowed to walk out of classes, and they had been all over the news for the past weeks about it. And unfortunately, my former high school as well, my principal came out and said that they were not allowed to protest and they were trying to restrict these students. However, I do know that the person from my school who was organizing it, actually, one of her close friends actually died in the situation, and so it was very important to her. And the school trying to limit her exercising her First Amendment right was something that they told her that she was going to be suspended for. However, afterwards, they changed their mind, saying that they can do it during this certain time, but the time that they had specifically chosen, they had chosen for a reason. It was when the shootings began at that school, and then they were doing 17 minutes to commemorate the 17 lives that were lost. So that was kind of what the Cobb County situation was.
Fulton County did the same thing. All right. Is there a motion on the floor? Senator McGinnis. Is there a second? Seconded by Senator Stephenbach. Is there any discussion on this motion? All in favor, please raise your hand. Discussion. Pass the mic.
Can we wait to look at this a couple more times, maybe change the wording a little bit? I know you explained all of everything and answered our questions, but do we need to change the wording to reflect that explanation in the resolution before we present it officially? Do you get what I'm saying?
I'm not following.
Okay, so he just explained all of our questions that we have, but I know, but we still had questions. So should he change the wording to make it to where we
What
don't have
wording would you
questions?
need to be changed?
No, I mean just everything that you've already answered. I mean, there's a ton of questions that we just answered.
Most of the answers came directly from
Yeah,
the
I know,
resolution.
but that people didn't understand it in its current format. So shouldn't we change it to reflect that? Can we motion to table it for another meeting after review?
Let's see what this motion does, and then if it fails, then we can table.
Okay.
Because we're already in the motion.
So I think this is a
Speak up, please.
unnecessary act, because if you're protesting, you should be able to be okay that you might get in trouble. You look at all the other protests in the past, you see that they're protesting for what's right, but they also might get in trouble and they will accept that. So I feel like this is an unnecessary thing that can be described in any undergraduate application if necessary already.
I feel like
The voting is going to determine that. We're going to do a blind vote. It's like getting personal. Political. Okay, so we're going to do a blind vote because this vote is some people view as political. So we're going to write your vote and fold it up, and then we will count it.
And just make sure that you're voting as a representative of all students.
So you should,
Your own
yeah.
political opinion. As a representative for your
I already did that.
This is for the actual.
This is for the actual thing. The motion right now is to approve the resolution. Yes means yes, no means no. Once you're done, I will collect them. Please write down your answer. No, just yes or no. What? Because people were starting to be like, I feel,
Okay, too late. We committed.
It's too late.
Committed
Just
to a blind
vote.
vote.
It's too late. Oh, okay. I just made a decision. It's fine. Okay. Okay, well, we need to know the number. That motion passes with a vote of 25 yes, 4 no, 1 abstention. All right. Is there anything for announcements? Actually, we'll start here.
Senator for Wellstar College of Health and Human Services. So tomorrow we are tabling, us 3 senators, Bagwell Education and Puya and Wellstar. And also the career fair is next Wednesday, March 21st, I believe, from 12 to 4. So come all, tell your constituents, it's going to be great. Oh, sorry. The tabling event is in the Student Center in the Rotunda, and it's from 12:30 to 1:30.
Director Delaney.
Director Delaney. So, guys, club softball is playing their one and only home tournament this weekend. There's 2 games on Saturday, 1 and 3, and 1 on Sunday at 11 at North Cobb High School, and they're free. And if it doesn't get rained out, yeah.
Director Honeycutt here. So recently, without my consent, I was made the treasurer of a brand new organization. The organization is called Reason to Smile KSU. It's the idea is basically around the concept that one small act of kindness can really make the difference, improve someone's day, help them get through a tough time, or even save their life. It's an Optimist Club. Unfortunately, it tends to meet at 7 p.m. Reason to Smile KSU. They tend to meet at 7 p.m. on Wednesdays. So if you're like me, when you have this in governance, you never get to go to the meetings you're an officer of. But for those of you who aren't in governance, I would highly recommend you all go to a meeting. This is really important. You never know what students are going through and how one little act of kindness can help make the difference. And as you all know, I'm all about kindness. I'm a very happy person all the time. So please reach out to me if you have any questions, and I'll hook you up with the president. She's great.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Christian Carter. I am a senior at the Coast College of Business, joined here with my friend and partner, Broderick, also senator of Coast College. So, how many of you guys have Snapchat? Everybody? Cool. So when we look at Snapchat right now, what are we kind of seeing with our friends, our peers at other schools other than Kennesaw State? Anyone hazard to guess? Spring break. Cool. So probably already know where I'm going with this. I did not intend to speak tonight, so this is kind of thrown together, so just bear with me. So spring break's been mentioned, I've been told by Broderick a couple times, and I'm not sure what you guys plan to do for your spring break, but obviously we all know when it is. It's going to be April, first week. However, while it is fair for the weather and it's a little bit warmer around that time period, I think a lot of us here, not just us in this room, but also students around the campus and other respective schools would like it to be moved towards March, particularly in the middle of March, actually being this week or next. So some of my points I brought up, I know I've been told this is brought up before, and I don't know how many times it has been brought up, but has there been an attempt, it's kind of a question to you guys, has there been an attempt made to speak with the calendar, faculty, planning committee, or the registrar's office to try and push spring break back if there's enough support for it? And if so, there was an attempt, maybe is there enough support here?
Yeah, Vice President Mobalaji. So this is something that has been attempted in the past, and it has been. I think it was the last time someone attempted was our freshman year. So 4 years ago, it hasn't been attempted since. So maybe the campus climate within the faculty and staff is different. Mm-hmm. But the reason why it didn't get approved last time was because of faculty and staff. Most of them live in the surrounding counties, and so in order for them to be able to have spring break at the same time as their kids, so they can also be able to vacation, it didn't get approved. So that is what happened last time. Maybe campus climate is different. So if Senator Armbruster wants to work with you on that, he can present a resolution to us for us to vote on. But I think the general consensus amongst most students is we're all on the same page. It's really talking to faculty and staff and getting them on the same page. And if that happens, then you could make it happen.
Yeah, so some methodology for that. I was inspired 2 years ago with the poll that was initiated to get the meal plans changed for commuter students, not to make it mandatory for those who didn't live on campus. So it's good to hear that at least a lot of you guys feel that we could, or in support of something like that. So if we could just get enough pressure perhaps on that committee for the calendar, maybe we could, and also a resolution from SGA, maybe we could actually make something happen for the next couple of years or so.
Senate Lead Holden. Another issue with moving our spring break that you'll find is that it also correlates, like he was saying, with like Cobb County and whatnot. We have several or a large amount of dual enrollment students. So they take classes when we take classes. So if we moved our spring break, that would knock them out of having a spring break at all because they would still be required to go to their classes at school. So that's
Understood.
another bit of pushback you'll find.
Okay.
Senator McGinnis, Senator for Non-Traditional Students. for not just faculty and staff, but for non-traditional students, that can be a problem with children and, in the schools, but also as a student, as an education major personally as well. That is a conflict for our entire college because, for example, I'm in student teaching right now. That would mess up our schedule so much because we are in sync with the counties, partially probably because of faculty and staff, dual enrollment.
Yeah, Ryan let me know that back
non-traditional-
there.
Yeah, but the problem is you'd have to try, Cobb County is not pushing back, then that would create a big conflict and a big difficulty, I guess, in our experience, in our field experience and in our student teaching as well.
Thank you.
Cool.
Thank you guys, ladies and gentlemen, for your time.
Thank
Appreciate it.
you. Anything else for announcements? Tiandra.
Is this one? Okay, I was also just thrown, Senator Dennis College of Humanities and Social Science. I was also just thrown into a position too. So there's something going on at the ARC down there next Monday. It's gonna be called Getting Lucky, and it's gonna be in the multi-purpose room, which is a really cool room or whatever. But they're gonna have like a bunch of free sweets and stuff, so just come on by. It's like fun and music. That's it.
Thank you. Anything else for announcements? Is there a motion on the floor to adjourn this meeting? Senator Holden. Is there a second? Seconded by Senator Weiss. Is there any discussion? I have discussion. Make sure Christina is supposed to meet with a bunch of people, so make sure to do that. Exec doesn't have. Please sit down. Please give me or Christina the sticky notes. Please fill them out because it's really important, and we don't know what handwriting is what, so we won't know who said it. All right. Is all in favor, please raise your hand. All opposed? Any abstentions? That motion does pass.